The title isn't strictly true, but it's good to be positive, isn't it? Well, today I did receive some bad news. It's not news that has been unexpected. It's something for which I was prepared, sort of, a couple of years ago. But it doesn't make it any less of a blow. I'm not going to go into details. I don't need to do that here. That's not really. I've got a shadow. Can I get rid of that? Is that better? Yes, shadow's gone. That shadow. Where was I? Bad news. I'll come to that in a minute. I've said a bit about my visit to my father. I'm still uncertain how to proceed. I can keep on going to see him, but I don't know how much. This sounds defeatist, but I don't know how much more I can communicate with him, because I'm not sure how receptive he is to what I might say. He seems to exist in a parallel world, or lived in a parallel world, where he and I were best buddies in my childhood, whereas in reality he was a stranger with whom I couldn't talk. I really and truly could not speak to him. I think I might have said here, probably not, that I mentioned to him that I hadn't slept well since I was in my early teens, probably 12, 13. And this is a man who told me that recently he had his first bad nights he'd ever had in his 95 years of life. And he said to me, "Why didn't you say something?" To whom would I say it? I must have said this before on this channel. I wouldn't have spoken to him because he was a stranger. He's someone I didn't know. I certainly wouldn't speak to my mother because she's someone I didn't know and didn't trust. And I wouldn't have expected any sympathy from her anyway. But that's just an example of the parallel world. He thought we were close. He thought I was the child most like him as I was growing up. The child to whom he felt closest. But if he did, it was entirely one-sided, because I felt no closeness at all. I was aware that he was making an effort to do things with me, and I thought this was to try and engage with me and help me. But it seems it was just because he was enjoying himself. He has said repeatedly that he enjoyed his children. And it leaves me thinking that it was all for him. He wasn't doing it for me. He just wanted to go on holidays with his son. And he didn't notice that we didn't communicate. That there was no connection between us. And with that in his mind, and things I've tried to say to him, he has just not understood, not taken on board. Excuse me, I'm going to have to cough. I've still got this continuing obstruction in my throat. Bear with me a moment. That wasn't very edifying, was it? But who cares? Nobody's listening, no one's watching, so it doesn't matter. I could pick my nose and it wouldn't make any difference. He saw a closeness that wasn't there. I've said this to him, and he has appeared completely mystified. He doesn't know what I'm talking about. Different lives, parallel lives, who knows? But in the context of this, I don't know how much more there is that I can say to him. I've already said that I don't want to say to him. I'm not particularly keen on saying to him that my mother was evil and unpleasant, because he has this different view of her. And I'm going over old ground again here. And what more do I say? He talks about himself and we reminisce about odd occurrences. I don't know. I haven't called him in the last couple of days because my sister is still there and I don't particularly want to talk to her, because that is excruciatingly difficult. She's only there because she's been unable to fly home because of bad weather. And it sounds like she's going to be there into next week. So I don't know where we go. I don't want to argue with him, which is what we always do when he comes up with things which I find it difficult to let pass. Obviously, he wants to talk and debate, as he would call it. But I don't want to have discussions which can easily become acrimonious. So I just agree with him, which is what I've always done. I don't get to exercise my new-found ability to disagree and not go along with what people say. I don't know where to go with that one. I'm completely unsure. I've said before that I could easily just walk away and forget it, just not contact them again. I don't particularly want to do that, but that would be the easiest course. Not the best, and it's giving up, which I don't want to do. And I could say 95 is not going to be for much longer. So I grit my teeth and call him again next week. And again, submit to the questions, do you regret? I wish you had. Never mind. That's another matter. The bad news, it's, as I said at the beginning, it was something that wasn't wholly unexpected. It was wholly unwelcome. So I was prepared for it. But I will admit, this unspecified news has left me very shaken. And it has emphasized my aloneness. The fact that in my life I don't have anyone to turn to talk about things that bother me, other than here. And it doesn't matter what I say because no one listens to it anyway. I haven't been dwelling on this bad news, but it is there in the back of my mind. back of my mind. It's like a shadow, a cloud over me, to which I'm turning a blind eye because I don't think it does me any good to dwell on it. It does, however, focus on my mind on what is next, where I go next. My home situation is, I really believe it's untenable. I can't see any way forward with things as they are. It's very unsatisfactory, very uncomfortable. I'm not going into specifics here because I don't think you need to know. But my home situation has got to change, and I can't see any way it can change whilst remaining fundamentally the same. Which means the changes have got to be in my life. And where do I go? Where do I go, indeed? At one time, this potential change, the uncertainty, whatever you want to call it. There I go again. That's probably because I haven't spoken today. That's made it worse. This change and this uncertainty would have not caused me any concern. I would have thought, yeah, so what? I'll find another job. I got somewhere to live. I've got enough money to tide me over for a week or so. I'll just find something else. But things have changed. I've changed. The labour market has changed. My circumstances have changed. And I don't have a stable base from which to look for more employment. But hey, I didn't want to talk about that. I could say it's a bridge I'll cross when I come to it, but I think I've come to it now. What makes it difficult? Well, what makes it more difficult is that I don't have anyone to talk about this with. So I just have to find this solution myself. That was always what I had to do. And the easy thing would be to just put it off, do nothing. Just wait until my wife returns from her sabbatical and continue living in silence, non-communication, working in tension. But that's not really solving anything. Even if it were able to carry on, it's not dealing with the underlying issue, is that we're not making enough money. We haven't made enough money for 10 years. There has been time within this 10 years when we have probably made a profit. A few years literally, but no, it's not sustainable. It can't go on. Quite apart from any difficulties within the relationship and the working relationship, financially it's not sustainable. Something's got to change. Making more money with the business isn't really feasible. So where do I go? I'm not saying very much this evening. I'm just going round in circles. But that's all my mind is doing. Going round in circles. My biggest fear, well, not my biggest, there are several large fears. But I could easily revert to shunning all society. And yes, I'm afraid of this happening. I've always relished or encouraged a degree of disconnection from people around me. But it had reached a point where it had become problematic. And then through this work, I was forced to engage with people. Very facile engagement, but it meant I had to go and speak to people, even if the people were coming to me. Without that compulsion to do that as part of my work, I could just stop altogether. I've done it before. And I'm afraid of going back to that. Because it's easy. I can feel it happening. I can feel it's always there. Hey, I've gone on for 18 minutes and I've not said anything yet. I don't know where I'm going. I don't see clear paths ahead of me. I don't see unclear paths ahead of me. So I don't know where I go. Things I need to do. I need to find employment of some sort. I need to find somewhere to live. The second is really just a question of money. If I have money, I can find somewhere to live. It may not be somewhere I want to live, but I'll find somewhere. I have to find a source of money. And then I have in my mind my father's questions. So have you got a pension? What provision have you made for your old age? What are you going to live on? What am I going to live on? Hmm? Again, answers on a postcard, please. I know, I've said it before and I'll say it again. I'm being dramatic. I know I am so much more fortunate than many, and I have gratitude for everything that has put me in this position. I have huge gratitude towards the cause of the bad news, which sounds a bit odd. But without that, I wouldn't be here today. And I wouldn't have so much in my life which can give me joy. But hey, is there a way out of the woods? If there is, I can't see it. It's enough of the rambling. It's past my bedtime. I do have dread. I dread my wife returning in a couple of 3 days' time. I dread going back to that unbearable tension. I resolved to communicate, to respond, initiate conversations, but it just doesn't happen. It just falls back into the same routine every time. But the future's bright. Change is exciting. Facing things alone is a challenge. The challenge is good. It's all growth. Good night, if there's anyone there.